been a massive tool for NIP to use, more like a weapon, I guess. But
Yeah.
OMG are going to be on the blue side for this one. Every team gets one blue side, one red side against each other. We have the Rise, Galio, Vi banned away by OMG. We got the Nefiri finally joining the ban table, by the way, and the Rumble and the Gwen banned away by NIP.
This is the first time from NIP we have not seen a Skarner ban early on in the group. I think NIP were very hesitant to try to play it. They banned it on both sides. So I wonder, this has been one of the biggest adaptations coming into the second day of all of the groups, has been kind of the loosening of the grip of Skarner. A lot of teams have been willing to give this up. So now we have the Jace here for OMG. This can be a flex, especially for a player like Linfeng.
And I think keeping that flexibility early is really big. They're going to pick the Skarner this time around, so they must have worked out some of the kinks.
Okay. Or they just figured, like, there has to be more OP champions. Aki on a little bit of a Skarner action, I'm not going to lie, kind of scares me. So Aki has had some questionable games so far this split, so looking forward to how exactly he pilots the big old Scorpion, as here with this Maokai, I think OMG are already setting up to have the likes of a poke composition, but Jace does allow you some of that flexibility.
Yeah, I think that flexibility is just so cool in this day and age in the meta. Oh, but OMG just decided to throw the gauntlet down, bro. Like, they got the Maokai, they have this Yone, and giving Linfeng a huge tool to be that carry, be the guy to bring them over that finish line and get their first dub.
Okay. A lot of eyes going to be on Linfeng. He had some great performances against the likes of Scout in their JDG series in Split 1. So I like this pick for Doinby. It looks like NIP are going to be taking a little bit of a slower approach when it comes to team fights. The Aurora's Burst alongside that Skarner going to make terrain very, very difficult. So around objectives, we are expecting for NIP to have a lot of power. But OMG with really, really powerful solo lanes does mean that 6 grubs in my mind starts to become a big priority for this team as we get into the second phase of bans.
And we know LPL teams love prio over those grubbies. We are in the second phase. We got the Ziggs ban here, so taking away some of the AP potential of this bot lane. Really good shout there. On the other side, Enchanter Renata taken away to pair up with that Varus.
Ooh, so with Varus already taken away, like we were saying, Misfortune, Ziggs are 2 champions that can definitely try to outrange or outdamage him in the laning phase. I wonder what Starry is going to be looking for. I'm kind of looking at his champion pool right now. The next most likely option does appear to be like the Jhin. I don't think he quite has enough damage or enough frontline on his squad, so maybe, you know, we're looking at engage supports. I think an Alistar is actually a really great takeaway from Moham.
And now we might actually just get the short-range carry coming through to kind of deal with some of these tanks.
Okay.
'Cause that percentage health damage going to be massive. Kaisa Rakan locked in here for OMG.
Wow, an insane dive composition here coming in from OMG, so it feels like they've really started to go into this identity. For NIP, last pick over to Shanji, can be the Jax, sorry. We have also seen Mbessa be very powerful, but the fact that we've seen Mbessa drop all the way to 5, so surprising. Top lane has not really been the counter pick role so far here in the placement stage. So interesting to see Shanji on Sion here.
Locking it in, man. They're all giggling. They're all laughing. They're trying to recreate the Flandre moment here, but that is some beefy meat in the front line for NIP.
Yeah, insane amount of frontline. NIP make it very difficult for Jace to do really anything in the early game. We'll see if OMG are able to blow this wide open. I will say with a Kaisa, she can deal a lot of damage versus a Skarner and a Sion, but I'm a little bit worried for NIP. I feel like if they are not off to a great start, some of the tanks can be a bit much, and there's not enough damage, I think, in my opinion, from just a Varus, unless it's going to be on hit. Again, another situation where we're looking to leave to really bring this team across the finish line.
Hey, and honestly, if you put your eggs in that basket, you're probably going to get paid out for that one because that one's pretty good in the fact that he has been able to rise to the occasion. I think it's been one of my favorite parts of this split so far is to see the kind of burden that he's put on himself in a lot of ways to be that carry, even on the Jhin. But right now we have a lot of mechanical skill needed, at least from both sides. The bars of execution definitely a little bit higher. I think NIP can just kind of throw themselves into the fights at one point, but I'm looking at OMG to really find a way to navigate some of these, because I think if you can get Linfeng to a point of power, if you can get him to 2-3 items, he can win you the game, but it's about setting him up for success, and especially Heng being able to keep tabs on Aki.
Yeah, what exactly are the carries of OMG going to be able to do with so much frontline? That's going to be the question for me. How are they going to contest on mid-wave when you're playing up against the Varus? A lot of questions here for OMG. Starting off this second day of groups, 0-3 NIP with a massive advantage coming in and are the expected favorites, one of the top 2 teams that we are looking towards to leave this group into Group Ascend.
Yep, and we get into it now. You hit the Gyos early, and I think NIP has garnered a lot of attention over this year. I think if you look at the track record of what they were able to do, capturing the hearts of so many in the community, just in split number 1. But that kind of last-second signing of Doinby, we saw it coming out for a little while, but once it finally unleashed, I think it just put a huge spotlight on this organization, who have been a pleasure since they've come into the league of recency.
Yeah, and especially when you talk about, I think, the return of a legendary player like Doinby here to NIP, and he's kind of reunited with some teammates. I think there's some magic here, but that's what we were looking towards in Split 1. Hasn't always come to fruition when we look at their playoff performance, like we had been noting earlier. So already a minute here into this game. We do have junglers going to opposite sides of the map. And early on, when we look at this bot lane matchup, we are looking at Leave and ppgod to have a bit of an advantage in the trades. So I want to see how Moham is going to be able to operate when he is playing this Rakan, so flexible in what he's able to do.
Yeah, and getting either this 2v2 going or finding impact on the map is definitely what I want to see. We are getting those mirrored side starts for both those junglers and trying to see what impact the Skarner has here. That I know we were talking about earlier, and IP kind of banned it on both sides, but now willing to take this one and have a prio set up for him and Doinby in that kind of combo we want to see at least earlier on. Leave and ppgod, I think they're chilling for a while down here. I don't think there's going to be any pressure. They're already falling a little bit far behind in the CS, but waiting for that wave to crash.
Yeah, they'll be able to pick this up, and I need to see how Hery and Heng are going to be able to operate together. Again, Jace versus the Sion can be a little bit of a bully in the lane, but Sion's just going to be able to stack so many resistances, get so much free HP from the Soul Furnace, and we need to see how this Jace is going to operate, because like we just talked about, you're playing Jace into Sion, Skarner. It's really difficult to thrust through that front line, even with stuff like a Black Cleaver or the rest of your squad.
If only you could still build tank on him. But no, that had to be cut from existence.
I'm okay with that. I think that was an abomination of game design for Jace.
It was definitely overtuned, but I liked the ability to be flexible with Jace. I think those kinds of stuff where like builds determine how you can play champs, like Varus, is really, really cool. But I also, speaking of Varus a little bit, we've seen a huge priority in the lethal tempo Varus here recently across like every League of Legends that's being played right now.
I think right now it definitely fits. I think data-wise, I think that the poke Varus is a bit more popular. I think it's a perfect game for that lethal tempo, especially when I think you're not really going to be able to out-trade, and you really want the resistances that are going to be allowed when you have stuff like the Yone diving onto your back line. You also have this Maokai. Let's see if this dive works out here for OMG.
There's double dives going on, one in mid, one in top. We're going to see mid go off first blood for NIP. Meanwhile, top playing Shanji able to dissuade the dive from OMG, so everything coming up NIP early.
Perfect job for them. Good job in the mid lane here from Aki and Doinby. This Aurora is so disgusting to deal with very early on. I think the electrocute changes really help with that. As we take a look back in mid lane, Linfeng just taking way too much damage from the early passives, and not too bad. He still had the TP, so he's able to go back into the lane. Not going to change all that much, but the fact that the top lane dive doesn't also go off for them, only a single plate there for Hery, not exactly what OMG would have wanted. So we're already starting to see swaps. Again, early priority for OMG needs to be on these grubs if they want these potent side laners to have a big advantage.
Just getting a little worried of falling somewhat behind. Obviously, it's not anything here crazy, but like you say, if they can't make this transition up towards the top 10 contest, I want to see them try to keep at least proactive on the Rift, because the more they stay even or ahead with NIP, the more time they give to Linfeng to come online. or even Starry, honestly. I mean, Kai'Sa's been nuts here recently as well. But those swaps have come through. The Grub's going to be spawning. Linfeng taking a huge trade preemptively. Now we have to see how quickly the junglers are going to be adapting.
Heng has a couple of camps, but he is walking towards top side. Aki's fading towards the bottom side of the map, probably just to cover for Sion. They've already seen one dive. They might be expecting for it to happen again. And with no camps to kind of clear, I wonder if Aki's going to be looking again. Oh, perfect vision scouting.
Oh, they use the Between Worlds. Aki not able to get in range. Yet the slow comes through again. They're not going to go under tower. They realize the Grub fight is looming and would be important to have their health bars.
But Maokai's already in the area, and Maokai for such a long time, even last year, was basically just like, hey, I'm going to walk into river, I'm going to throw all of my saplings, and make it almost impossible for you to walk into the river. So you already see OMG preemptively here for these grubs. Aurora, however, I think a mistake here from Doinby. He's taking a recall now. They're going to be able to contest for this.
Yeah, I mean, Doinby is nowhere even near to be here for this fight. They also got level 6 there for Linfeng, so he can provide pressure. Already down is one grub, the second about to fall. Aki wanting to get in here to potentially get this last, but he's all by himself. He's literally in a 1v4 right now. ppgod coming over. He did get the grub. They have leave here as well. Maybe he can pick up some gold. Starry able to kill down Aki. Nice flash there from Leave, but he's all by himself too. neny still picking apart Starry as ppgod takes him down. Leave has been just doing work here, and he's still kicking a double knock up there. Even Linfeng can't handle it. Another piercing arrow and a nice weirding from Doinby. Leave has been just firing this entire fight, and that's the carry we were waiting for.
What happened? It was a fight on two fronts there, and OMG cannot get multiple kills there. They give over some of the grubs, and neny come up trump in that fight. Great job from some of the carries there. I think Doinby, even without having the Between Worlds, made a huge difference. We were just commenting how this might have been a bit of a questionable fight coming in for neny, but look at the carries. I mean, like we were saying, Leave perfectly dodges out, has to use both of his summoner spells, but it takes so long, and Star's just by himself. I think ppgod on this Alistar had so much of a big responsibility, getting multiple knockups, dodging CC, and even stopping some of the members of OMG from being able to play.
Dude, that was 80 season no man's land on both sides, but Leave comes out on top. Really good team effort there from neny. On bot side, we just saw Hery have to burn his flash to a gank down there by neny, and they are slowly but steadily building that lead. Look at that damn damage, though.
Oh my god. Oh, that's why he's one of our carries. Hey, look, that's a fight where you're convinced lethal tempo is better than arcane combat. So Leave makes it happen.
Hey, it's just, I don't know if he had the boots or the recurve bow during that fight, but it's just one of those diffs. They are going to keep the duos up in top side, though, so maybe just trying to stick to the power here. Aki's going to be farming up that way, but Heng trying to keep a little vision. Will be spotted out by this controller, and now needs to be careful. He realized immediately that he could be in trouble. Doinby is just going to try to chase him down. Linfeng's move is going to be enough to stop them from chasing, but that's still a lot of harass towards Heng.
You already saw that neny's bottom lane was also starting to move towards Heng in case there was going to be an extended fight. No dragon taken at 9 minutes here does kind of look to me for neny, if they're not going to get as much damage onto this turret, probably going to look to fade into the river and potentially look for a recall, end up swapping Shanji away. We do have grubs spawning in another minute and a half, so we had put a large focus here for OMG to get grubs. They only have 2 of them, so as long as they're able to get the next 2, there is still a possibility for them to still be able to play through these solo lanes. Not a massive goal lead, especially when we look at the Jace and the Yone.
Hoping that those can hold on, those pieces to the puzzle to some extent. But yeah, that next grub fight is going to be very important, at least for some stacking for OMG, some maybe reprieve even. You see it's already point and center for neny. They have moved everybody over here. Even some early trades from Linfeng going the way of Doinby to have him a little bit low. He has TP if he wants to get the back off, potentially going for a fourth item. He will initiate that one. We got about 37 seconds. Hery, we want to get Shanji down here, not going as nicely as maybe he expected. Both of them having TP as well. So I'm expecting a 5-on-5 up here, Al.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you have the Maokai ultimate. You are, like we were saying, do have a lot of those game-changing ultimates, especially when we look at our two supports. Moham unlocking the Grand Entrance does mean there's a lot more playmaking potential than what we saw in that first fight. Immediately deploying out into the top side. It will have OMG immediately be able to have first access, but I'm looking at Heng right now. It seems like he's going to try and bail out his top laner from going up against Shanji, worried that this Jace might fall. And so that'll give away that top side objective to the side of NIP if they choose.
Yeah, I think another thing, you just look around the map and you realize there's item spikes for NIP. Not necessarily so for OMG here, so the fighting strength is definitely there, and this would bring NIP to 4 grubs in. I'm just going to say, the grubs for this team with all these beefy bodies, that's not going to be fun. I know 4 isn't 6, but it's still going to be really nice for their siege potential, and we're going to see them actually push into the topside turret too to get some plates.
Okay, so it's 1 plate for right now. You see that Linfeng is focusing on just making sure that he's able to catch this mid-wave. I wonder, once they see the TP from Shanji and once Heng is done with this dragon, if after the next mid lane wave, if they potentially look to bail out the Jace. There's a bit of vision here from NIP to be able to scout. Linfeng trying to move into Fog of War, potentially look towards the top side, but immediately cutting that out. That's 2 plates going over to NIP's bottom lane.
I'm sad we didn't get the 5v5 I wanted. We'll see now though. Aki, they're making up for that by going for an invade into Heng's. They're going to try to fight over this wolf because you have movement from both teams over here. I love that both junglers are just sticking in this fight right now. That's going to be the nature of guys. Oh no, Aki, missing the impale. Linfeng was looking for an angle, but Chain's Corruption layer him down, and CC chained to death. Doinby takes down his opponent.
Aki knows I may have missed the ultimate. Doesn't matter. I still won the fight, so I'll take my 1,500 gold lead for myself. Thank you very much. And a great setup. We did talk about in constrained quarters. We're talking about terrain. This NIP composition is so deadly to deal with. You're going to be playing into a Skarner ultimate, into the Between Worlds. So I love what we're getting from our mid jungle. I think that Doinby and Aki, specifically in this game, have had a lot of focus between the two of them, and so far have been able to really play out this early game very well.
Yeah, and that enables leads so much, especially on this on-hit Varus, right? Doinby and Aki being points of pressure, just leave to be untouched in a lot of those. That's literally what happened in that previous fight that really kind of broke things open for NIP. But I gotta give a shout out. I love the Frozen Heart tech for the Scion that we see.
Oh, it's so OP here, actually.
It's so good. And it just makes it so difficult in the side lane for Hery, I feel like.
Yeah, usually one of the trade-offs of building an item like Frozen Heart, kind of similar to like a Warmog, is you're really only investing into one large stat, this time the armor. But again, we talked about with Shanji on this Scion, you get so much extra bonus HP from the W passive that you can kind of leverage and get around the fact that you're trading some of those stats. Moham in a flank position, but he is by himself. Okay.
Goes with the flash quickness. Oh, the sealed fate not there. Leave trying to dodge out. Leave's about to go down. Triple knocker for ppgod will just delay the inevitable. And that is going to be a pick for OMG. They're on the board. Let's go.
Finally, they get another kill, this time onto Leave, like you were noting. And while there isn't any objectives to play for, I'm looking at those timers, 2.5 minutes before either side for a Rift Herald or a Dragon. No flash or cleanse going to be available. So anytime that they have these ultimates, they can yet again make these plays. I need to see Linfeng and Moham find angles, maybe even link up with this Maokai and try to get onto the carry of NIP. But I'll be honest, Leonard, I know we've been talking a lot and trying to set up Leave as this big hero for the team. They have gone a lot of these plates in the top side tier 1, but I think Doinby on this Aurora, while they're putting so much focus on killing Leave, he is starting to slowly gain himself an advantage, and Aurora has been, I think, one of his breakout champions so far in 2025. Great flank coming in from Moham.
Absolutely. I love these kinds of, because it's like one of those just deep thoughts. You're like, how can I do this? What can I do? But he also executes it really well with the flash quickness.
Yep, flash immediately, then he gets the knockup, allows for the plasma procs to be applied so that Starry can just fly in the wings, get that kill for himself. Gonna be some, also again, those summoner spells, yeah, I know we were just talking about it for Lee, but no flash from Moham can be a bit dangerous, so I want to see how the support in NIP for ppgod, can he mark the Rakan? How is he going to be able to stop him? I know we were talking about yesterday or last night, the or not even last night, it was NACL today. I know you and Cubby were talking about the importance of an Alistar versus some melee carries, so
yeah,
gonna need to see that from ppgod tonight.
Hey, he's actually been having some really good performances as of late as well, which kind of a resurgence for this guy that's been around the block here. And I guess just a home here at what was previously V5, now NIP. It's been a constant for this organization and kind of continues to come back. Now, we do see NIP moving for aggressive postures in the bot side. Aki was contesting over the Krugs, trying to take a little bit more damage into this turret setup here in the bot side. And maybe they can actually be able to take this one down. Still first turret on the table for both teams. First turret would mean NIP get feats of strength. Aki is just throwing his meaty body around here.
Oh.
He's just tanking up so much and burns Heng's flash. Quickness,
oh, we're just
double
going
knock
for this
up.
play.
Nobody's there. Nobody's there. They can't do anything about it. Starry wasn't even close there. Now finally gets into the fight. Double TP coming in. This is chaos, but NIP, they're starting to back away. This TP is real late and real sketchy. Shanji, luckily, he's a Scion, and he's got that frozen art we were talking about. And we're starting to see, I'm sorry to say for OMG's sake, but we're starting to see these beefy bodies become beefy.
I don't know what exactly the premise of that fight is supposed to be. For Heng, yes, you're just protecting your Jace from the potential dive and making sure that he gets a little bit of assistance, but versus a Skarner, I think it is almost impossible to fight him 1v1. I think that the Quaking passive is just so damn OP against other tanks that it is very hard to kind of win in the 1v1, and yes, you do force out the ultimate, but now you lose flash on the Maokai, you lose access in that fight. I think of some other summoner spells that we've now no longer taken away. The TPs from both of NIP is potentially going to be the case, but we also haven't seen from OMG punish the fact that Lee does not have flash or cleanse in that fight.
Oh, Doomney just decided to pop that between worlds, waiting for the rest of the team to get over here. Instant engage there. We get the shout out to the TP coming in from OMG. ppgod getting low. He's not unbreakable any longer. Unstoppable onslaught comes through from Shanji, but Hery has found an angle. Hery has found leave, and they're losing some of their carries here. Doomney has to be the saving grace, but Linfeng, he's a little bit online now with this Blade of the Ruined King, and NIP lose the fight.
The carries of OMG finally starting to come alive. Yes, it was the bodies of Heng that were kind of used as the floor mats there, but Linfeng finds a great ultimate in that fight, and now OMG, how much damage can they get on these structures? NIP, while this is happening, are focusing with 4 grubs on the mid lane tier 1, which is a big objective for them.
That's actually so massive for the setup here. I mean, yes, we have to be realistic. There's still a pretty decent lead for NIP, but we came in today with no expectations for OMG. We're looking to see what we get from these guys, and I love the execution on some of these fights. They are just scrappy.
Yeah, this is, you know, one of the criticisms towards Doinby, especially on the Aurora. He tends to pull the trigger just a little bit early on his team, and I mean, it's just ppgod having to trade his life, Hery with this massive flank, and while Doinby does flash forward, it's Linfeng and Starry again getting off all of this damage onto the front line of NIP, while also grabbing themselves the Herald. So we'll see what they're able to do with this. Dragon was taken on the opposite side, and now we have an Otacon spawning in a minute and a half. I want to see if OMG can really get this Maokai included. I think we've kind of not seen too much of Heng in this game, aside from some early game shenanigans.
Yeah, been a little bit quiet, but still has major impacts in the spacing and space occupying in these team fights coming up as well. There has been the split on Dragons, so I think that actually behooves OMG for their scaling aspects, but I'm really looking at where this Rift Herald play is going to develop for OMG. I would expect it mid lane with the presence that they have there at least, but the redeploy from Moham going towards bot side as well.
I think the more important matter for OMG is that if they're able to help this Jace and get this bottom tier 2, the mid tier 1 is not going to feel as safe as typically it would with so many different angles with a Yone. Maybe they're now looking, saying, hey, we took the first turret in top lane. This does open us up to potentially look for flank angles and try to leverage and play the map around our Jace, around this bottom side of the map. It's tough. It's a tough angle. I know we were saying that they are 2,000 gold down, and as this game goes on, are they really going to be able to punch through the front line of NIP? So far, that has been the case, but I think as this game goes on, we are looking at these big carries in Linfeng and Starry.
Yep, and we need some items for them. They're getting closer and closer to second item. I will say Leave has now hit second item, as well as has Doomby. And we actually get OMG making a preemptive play around mid lane, try to take this one down. The charge from Aki not going to land anything. They do defend the turret, at least, to have a stepping off point onto the map itself. But I want to take stock of the compositional strength here of NIP themselves, because we talked about the beefy bodies, all that good stuff. Are we still feeling good about this like lethal tempo Varus into the compositional strength and how Leave has been playing?
I think that with this on-hit Varus, you get access to a bit more resistances with stuff like the Terminus and access to Jockshow and Wit's End and the like, but the ability to actually plant your feet and find those auto attacks may be difficult when you're having to deal with the Fate Unbound and the Maokai flashing in on your front line. Oh my god, Linfeng barely gets out from that Impale. Maybe NIP look to start up an Otacon. I think when you have an Aurora and a Skarner plus this Varus, there's a possibility they actually can cut them out from mid and finally grab this mid-tier one.
They actually might be able to just push it down here, but they aren't going to. They're going to move back over into the river here. TP coming out from Linfeng to get back into that top side and clear that one out. It looked like a bunch of bluffing in mid lane, but we do have to adapt our focus here. 20 seconds for the Dragon. It's not like Omega important for either side at this point, since we're stacked up to 1-1, but it does seem like they want to put a little presence over here.
I feel like OMG just need to step up, just like walk up, reinforce specifically Starry, and let them actually hit the turret. I feel like they've given a lot of space. They've invested a lot of time to making sure that no one's getting caught out or that we're playing for these timers. You shouldn't be giving NIP time to play this game out. I think getting pulled and picked apart on the side lane is going to be something that we look towards NIP to really leverage, especially when we talk about a player like Doiby, who is so proficient in playing the map. So right now, it's Linfeng in a side lane, being very, very good about pushing in top tier one, or this top wave, and then moving into Fog of War, moving over to potentially fade into a play. And we need to see more of that from OMG. We need them to actually pull the trigger.
Very true. I think it's been a different look for OMG for sure. Definitely go with a lot of developmental pieces across the board, and some homegrown developmental pieces through their LDL squad. Oh my dream. Specifically Starry as well on the other side. They did just kind of do the Atacon without NIP knowing anything that was afoot. I think they know now, but I think it's too late, and they're moving up here, but that Atacon's already taken. The flowers will bloom, and it is all OMG. Look at the difference in the roses now. Yeah,
it's a lot of bonus adaptive force. You also have to
oh no, you can't get caught.
Sorry.
Oh, it is done, skis. Starry is down. Dragon going the way of NIP.
Okay, but how much can NIP get? We said that we weren't really kind of talking about this Dragon in particular being that important for the team, and while it's a single kill, it is also the barrier going away from Starry. I just ends up recalling on a ward. That's fine. I think it sucks the fact that this kill does go over, but the fact that Lee flashes for this, kind of a good trade in my mind, honestly.
You'll take those? You'll take those?
We got the Otacon. We got a hell of a lot of Blood Roses, which keep us in the game in terms of experience. I mean, Linfeng was down. Now we're seeing he's almost a full level over his lane opponent. I think that that's perfectly fine.
55 to 5. Like, that might be the most difference in Blood Roses that I've ever seen this split so far. Like, that is a massive difference in a pretty decently key objective. I wouldn't say it's like game-changing, altering, but it is a force to be reckoned with in the current state of League of Legends. But right now, I mean, the theme of this game has just been poking and prodding. We haven't had any full committals here over the last 5-10 minutes.
Seems like both teams are kind of recognizing that they're probably going to be looking at third item. We did say for Linfeng, having this Blade of the Ruin King was going to be very good. Now has the Shield Bow, so that much more potent of a side laner and an individual. If they're not willing to play on Jace having fully stacked Muramana and Black Cleaver, I think they're probably just going to have to wait. And also, interesting tech coming in from both of our AD carries. Obviously for Kai'Sa, that's a little bit more reasonable from what we've seen, but Leave opting for a Seeker's Arm Guard, recognizing that with so much dive, he needs a little bit more protection just to make sure that him and NIP can win some fights.
And him and Doomby are matchy-matchy, so there you go. It all works out. The dual carries. No, but I actually think it does provide a lot of breathing room for Lee. And specifically with how much impact he's going to have in these fights with his build coming online almost to 3 items. The thing is, the carries for NIP are definitely far and above ahead of OMG, but only time will tell if that actually matters. Linfeng getting ever closer to that just ultimate power spike that Yone becomes after he gets to 3 items.
Feeling good for himself right now. It is still 1,500 gold individually between him and Doinby in favor of this Aurora. So, gotta be feeling that that's still going to be a problem. And with this Dark Seal as well, there is potential for this Aurora to get that much more bursty. As we look at this game, 25.5 minutes in, I think that there's a very real possibility that if this Jace or if Linfeng can push hard enough in a side lane and attract multiple members, OMG can just rip open a Baron very quickly with a Maokai and with this Kaisa as long as Starry's in the area. So I want to see if NIP are going to be able to recognize that and place a requisite amount of vision here to protect that.
Have to keep an eye on that one. Shanji ends up using that unstoppable onslaught down towards bot side. Still about 2 minutes for that next dragon. Would be soul point for NIP, so I think that's a decent point of pressure for them to play around. I'm also terrified at this team with soul with the Cloud Soul. I feel like they're pretty scary. Honestly, OMG as well on the other side. People doubt the Cloud Soul strength, but in this kind of setup, I think it's pretty powerful.
How long can we say people are doubting Cloud Soul before people stop doubting it? Because I feel like we've said this for the last 3 months, and like all of the propaganda against Cloud Soul has just been done in the last 3 years. So I get that we're undoing a lot of mental conditioning, but yeah. Cloud Drake's been pretty powerful for a while now. So
what's your least favorite Drake then? Now.
Probably Mountain Soul.
Right? Mountain?
I'm a big Chemtech Soul believer. Like the fact that you get like just flat DR and damage amp at 50% is really, really broken. So I'm a true believer, and if you play any TFT, you know that flat DR and damage amp are really OP. So I think as a Chemtech, that makes sense. Look, I mean it's near transferable, to be fair.
Yep, absolutely. We did get actually a huge moment. The one person with the lead on OMG's side.
Okay. Lennon has disappeared after trying to disrespect TFT mechanics. So, for the time being, I'm going to be kind of hopefully... Oh, Lennon, we're back. Woke. Yep.
Hello?
Yep.
Linfeng is also here.
Okay, that's what you get for making fun of TFT mechanics. I guess. Get back in there. Linfeng gonna use the ultimate. Okay.
Well, I was saying that we had 3rd items there for Starry and Hery as well now. Now OMG moving into this mid lane fight. They have a 4v3, but it's about to even up with Doinby coming around. Impale goes down. They're onto the tanks. That's going to be the quickest flashed away from by Leaf. Good moves from NIP. They reset the fight. Heng doesn't have a health bar to keep up, and now NIP have push and can go over to this dragon.
Wow, Leave with so much put on top of him in terms of crowd control and spells, now going to be able to stay alive and opens up the possibility, like we were saying, for that dragon. It will only put them on soul point for the time being. OMG, this was the part of the game that I really wanted to see, like, just cut them out from mid lane, let Aki just, like, kind of take all of the brunt damage from Starry.
Oh my god.
See, Linfeng, no ultimate. I think this is pretty risky coming out from, oh my god.
Shanji just TP'd in, has his 3rd item with the Jack Show. Moham going for a double, hit the knockup over the wall and just died. Massive pick from NIP. Linfeng needs an angle. Linfeng needs to do something. Starry needs to do something or they're going to bleed out. Look at Starry. He's going for Rocky, but he doesn't get him. And right into the wall of NIP, his face is smashed. As a double knockup comes through for ppgod. OMG have signaled the white flag. With Linfeng going down, it might just be full-on retreat. They're moving over to the Baron. With the on-hit Varus, they can just burn this one down.
Yeah, Aki's on his way. I think Shanji was the true MVP in this fight, not just for the TP, but the fight right before where Linfeng was forced to use ultimate. If this Yone had that beforehand, maybe there was a play there for OMG, but a little too late for this team, kind of going off in 2 different angles there. As we check this replay, I mean, why are we going for this play? Yes, we know that they don't have ultimates, but now we don't have any Rakan ultimate. We don't have the Maokai to be able to stop them. we're looking to try to poke them down. We have Kaisa and Jace. I just don't see the angle here for Moham and the rest of OMG. So now we've wasted summoner spells, we've wasted ultimates, and ultimately we lose gold, we lose the fight and the Baron, and possibly the game.
I see what Starry's looking at there. Like, I can absolutely, but my God, you're literally jumping right next to 4 other members of this team. And I think we're seeing some of that development, some of that newness for these pieces of OMG rear their head. I mean, we have over these last games for OMG, and it just becomes the difference between veterancy and trying to make your name here in the LPL. And right now, neny are putting that name in the dirt. As TP's coming down, OMG are not stopping the party. Aki doesn't have the assault impact, but Heng has already got Hery's here now with a run and retreat for Moham. Unfortunately, Shanji crashes into the wall there with his unstoppable onslaught, but they are all mid. This Baron buff is still up for 2 minutes, and they just can perma siege with those 4 grubs that they had achieved earlier in the game.
Midwave's about to go down, but they'll have another one to reinforce. I wonder if neny, they might just turn. They got a small glimpse of this recon, so they'll see Moham leaving and moving his way out. Seems, oh, nice shot from Moham. Yep, no, Moham is going to try and cut this wave, save his team a little bit of time. Aki's going on through.
Oh, Linfeng
nice cleanse.
Does end up getting that Quicksilver Sash usage there. That's massive for him to have and to get out of that one. Because if he dies there, I mean, it might just be into the game there. Moham waiting for that next wave is not going to be messed with. Inhib has fallen in mid lane. Oh, no. Oh, neny all turned like sharks to blood. As soon all 4 members just turned around and then making 5 now all in mid lane. They're trying to push them out, but neny smelled something.
They're trying to stall out. I love what Moham has been doing. Yes, there's been some engagements that looked a little bit wary, but Moham has done a very, very good job of cutting the mid wave, stopping them from being able to find it. Oh my God, is he actually
He's
gonna
still
fully get out of
going,
this,
bro.
though? He has to get the recall in. It's a 1.5 minutes before Dragon. Any wards that he can get for flanks are nice, specifically for Linfeng as the one remaining member who has his teleport. Can OMG finally get this mid-tier one in? Is it really going to matter? Because they're probably still going to have to take some recalls and try to spend some of this gold.
Oh, neny want the fight. Look at doinb. Oh, he goes the wrong way there as quickness now goes through.
They got it.
A lot of time. They got the turret. Maybe that's all they get, though. Linfeng gets eviscerated by Lee. Moham down right next to him. And the only ones left are Starry, who's going to have to kill her instinct out of it, but still is going to die down. Look at that slow. Oh, my goodness. And it's not for OMG. It's doinb popping off. It's all of neny making sure that they have firm control over 1 and 2 here in this Group C. And they're pushing for the win now.
Observers, I would love to keep watching a Jace hit a Scion. There is a base, thank you. There's a base being blown up, guys, please.
TP coming in there, and that'll signal the end for OMG. Unfortunately, I don't know if they can come back from 0 and 4, but neny will deal them justice nonetheless. We saw a good performance across the board, but doinb and Leave combined to be the super carries that we always know they could be. And here to start off the day, neny have shown up.
neny still wanting to hold their chances at ending first in this group. Reminder, top 2 immediately are seeded into Group Ascend. And for OMG, it's not quite over. If FPX decide to go on a losing spree, there is a chance for them to still end 3rd. But obviously, they would love to have the option and kind of the control of their own destiny within their own hands this time around. So still got to pull up some pretty big wins coming up. They still have TES in their future.
It ain't looking pretty, my friend. It ain't looking pretty. I mean, we'll see, though. There's a lot possible. There also could be that possibility that FPX just doesn't show up at all on the day. But I'm glad. I'm happy they would. True. They'd have to forfeit. I have to give some praise to neny. I think you can see why people get so excited about this team. Not only the personalities behind the scenes, and the content that they've been able to put out, but they also look damn good on the Rift. And they're able to use flexible styles. They're able to use these flexible champion pools that between Shanji and doinb specifically, I think just opens up so many avenues.
I think a team like Ninjas and Pyjamas are, for right now, I don't want to kill a lot of the hype around this team, but I think they're going to be the benchmark for are you going to be good enough to get into playoffs? You have to be at least this tall to kind of make some waves, do well enough, make it into playoffs. I know that we have a pretty expansive playoff format for LPL, but NIP seems like we can take some games off of the top teams. A lot of the lower end teams are not really going to be able to push us around because of not only mechanics, but also I think some of their individual team fight control. So I'm really happy to see that, especially for a team that has a lot of journeymen and some of these veterans that we've been talking about that have been in the LPL.
And Aki and Shanji get the dub again over their counterpart in OMG. Just saying, a little bit of feels good moments from against an old organization. One of my favorite teams that came out during that setup. I mean, OMG were always the kind of dark horse with that squad with Cream, as you may know from Top Esports, and it's like the OMG reunion show in this group, which I just think is absolutely hilarious. Maybe they don't get wins, but it makes some good storylines there for sure.
OMG's like, hey, we got the players were sent off to other teams, so they probably collected a little bit of a pretty penny, and that's what we were talking about the top of show for OMG is they're trying to cultivate this next group, this next generation of talent, specifically in some of those positions, especially for a player like Starry, who didn't have the greatest game, but hasn't really been able to find a starting spot in LPL, at least a consistent one, until this year.
Yeah, well, it's really nice to see, especially developmental pieces from the LDL come through for their organization, and not just get pawned off to others. And OMG has been good about that, right? Like that last iteration was also a bunch of pieces that were kind of built up through their system too. So we love to see it. Game number 1 was a bit of a sloppening, as NIP did end up taking it pretty whole-handedly. You see, it was steady, 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 and then it hit rock bottom.
It was very rock bottom for a long time, though.
It's like that episode of SpongeBob.
Yep, where it's advanced darkness.
That was one of the weirdest episodes, by the way, of all time.
They were cooking. They were cooking. I liked old weird SpongeBob. That was when we really got to kind of push the boundaries on what is allowed on children's television. So here in this game, I know there's some damage numbers. I feel like they might be a little overtuned, especially for someone like Hery. You're playing Jason to Sion. And I'll be honest, I think that some of the members that we expected or put a lot of pressure on to kind of help facilitate this game from OMG didn't really find too much success. Heng in particular on this Maokai felt very invisible as a champion that is supposed to not only take control but also be that main driver of success alongside that Rakan. So really need to see him step up, especially as a player who has been able to bounce around a couple of teams here in the LPL, but hasn't really, I think, found his space and found his form. Not in 2025, at least.
Not yet, at least. We still got a lot to wait.
Yeah, true.
We're starting to run out of time, though. We're getting further and further along the split.
If they get Group Nirvana, then we can, break the glass and be like, okay, we're running out of time, guys.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But, they've got placement games still, and we'll see how it ends up looking.
Absolutely. And we get to see